On this video, I will be talking about the Mastery Tracking Sheet. It is a very important resource that you should definitely favorite for this class. I use the Mastery Tracking Sheet to track your progress throughout the class. Right? So here you have, for example, how it opens. When it opens, you have the ranks for the class for chemistry and the ranks for the class for physics. And it really doesn't matter at all right now. Nobody has points, so these ranks really don't mean anything. But eventually, the top students will be listed here. Now, you do have the ability to switch the type of rank to show by period or by all of the classes of that top of that class or that topic. All right. Now, in other videos, I talk about why I use rankings and how that matters for class. But this is where you would check where you stack up against others. You can also use these report sheets. Now, the reason there's 3 of them on the bottom is because only one student can use each report sheet at a time. So if you come to the report sheet and there's someone using it, you can tell there's someone using it, you have to go to a different one. Now, one thing that you should definitely do is erase your student number after you are done using it so that your data is not visible to others. But even if you leave your student number, no one's going to really know that's you because nowhere in here there's your name. So the way it works is that you have to pick the class that you're talking about and then write your number down. And immediately all your points will pop up. It will tell you what grade level you're in. The next column will tell you the period you're in. It will tell you how much percent of the required points you have earned, how much percent of the possible points, which is usually a lot more than the required points you have earned. By the way, the next line over is talking about the possible points. The next line over is talking about the required points. And then you get class averages on the bottom of that. So the green line is you. The yellow line is what you could do. The red line is what you should do. The purple lines are class averages, right? So then it will tell you how many levels you have in the game and then how many experience points you have that have made you earn that many levels. But there's 2 types of experience points. Game points are points that you get only through levels, right? Total points include things like villains, quests, and tests that you complete, right? And I use the total points to generate your rank. Your rank includes the total rank among all the classes for that subject, and also your class rank, which for the actual period that you're in. Then you have how many points you have earned since the beginning of the last term. And that matters because if you're in a year-long course, at the end of the semester, we kind of reset the grades, right? So that's kind of how that works. Then you also have the number of myth levels you have earned. Myth levels are bonus levels. So that's what that's for. Then you have the number of game points that you have earned this term, right? Now, it then tells you how many points you need to level up again, right? And then how many levels you've earned this term only. And that's the one that really matters. This column right here is the one that matters for your grade this term. All right, the one that has the total game levels just matters to see where you are in the year as a whole. Then you have myth levels this term, which again is the bonus you're receiving on this semester. Then you get your quiz averages. Then you get the levels that you have in this term since I updated the grade book for the last time. The reason I have this column in here is because, say for example, it says here that you have 5 levels this term, but then it says you have 4 levels this term since the last upgrade of the grade book. That means that I have not upgraded the grade book since you've leveled up, but very soon you will level up again. Now, typically I upgrade the grade book at a maximum every 2 or 3 days, which means there could be a delay between the points that you have logged and the points the grade book shows. So that's why this column is here, so that you know that your grade is registered, but just not updated on the gradebook yet. This next column tells you how many levels you are behind compared to how many levels you should be. So right now, for example, there aren't any levels that are possible or required because the year has just started, right? By the way, the class average is turning out 2. That doesn't make sense because people don't really have 2 levels. I have to fix that. There's something wrong, evidently. But this would tell you how many levels behind you are and how much urgency you need to have in order to upgrade to do that. Finally, you have the number of lessons that you have completed. That actually helps you understand the number of steps that you have completed in the progression of the class. So if the class is at step 1 or 15 and you're still in step 9, that's another way of seeing how far behind the pace you are, which matters for the myth bonus that you can get in the class. You also have science literacy completed. That has to do with that portfolio that I talked about in another video, which also helps you build those myth bonus. That tells you your grade in the class, what should be in IC. Ever so often, I will update that over here as well. This tells you the number of absences that you've had and how many tardies that you've had. What the percentage of absences you've had and the percentage of tardies you have. That matters because there are certain things that you're only eligible for depending on how good your attendance is, right? The next column tells them whether or not you're currently passing the class. If you have an X, it means you are. The next column tells you whether you're truant or not. If you have an X on that column, it means you do not qualify for things which require certain attendance. And then it starts logging the points you've earned in the system. It breaks down which topics you have completed. That's what standard-based grading is all about. So you have a list of all the topics of the year in here. If you have an X, it means you have mastered that topic. And that matters because one of the ways to guarantee the grade in the class, remember, is mastering as many topics as possible. Then it breaks down how many myth or bonus points you've received in the different ways of receiving those bonus points. Then extra credit points are listed in the different ways of receiving those extra credit points. Then points that you were earned doing flex days, which are days that were just a sub is there, or we're not doing a standard instruction day. Points that you've earned doing do nows, which is the activities that you do when you walk into the classroom. Points that you earned facing tests and how you did on that test, right? It all breaks down on the next section. Then points that you've earned through project-based learning. Points that you've earned through quests or challenges. Points that you've earned through villains, which are, by the way, quests are like projects, right? But not projects that you do for project-based learning, projects that you do for extra credit or to get a test grade upgrade. Villains, which are things like quizzes or essays that you've completed or challenges sometimes. Exit tickets and points that you've earned that way. Then the points they receive in each of the units of the year start being listed, all right? And it breaks down each part of that topic. And so that's kind of how that works. So as you scroll through, the older stuff is going to be towards the back of the tracking sheet, right? The newer stuff is going to be near the start, right? So that means you don't have to scroll all the way back to find the more recent stuff, right? Or the most relevant stuff. So that's it. This is the student tracking worksheet. Now remember, only one student can use this at a time. When you are done using it, you should delete your student ID number, which should clear the data for the next student to use. If you see that a student is currently logged in on that sheet, you can just go to the next sheet and use that one to see where you're at. But you should also have a general understanding of where you're at as you progress to the game. If you know you're not doing a lot of work, you don't need a tracking sheet for that. And I also encourage you to kind of keep a paper record of your points if you want to. And on the main resources page, if you go to other tracking sheets, it will open up a page where you can actually find in here a mastery tracking sheet that you can print. I think it's right there, right here, and use that to track your points, right, on paper. I encourage you to do that so that way you can kind of double check what I'm doing online if you want to and be more on top of your progress. All right, so that's how you would find out where you stack up in the game that you're playing in my classroom.